Wonderful to see you all. It is wonderful to be seen, isn't it? Yeah. Let's take a deep breath together. And exhale. Let yourself fall into an easy breathing pattern. Inhaling for 4 or 5 seconds, holding it at the top, and then exhaling even longer than you inhaled. Now I invite you now to let go of all distractions. Whatever's going on in life, all the list of things to do, all the responsibilities you have. Let yourself settle in to your heart space. Settle into that place where we are more aware of the divine. Take stock of where you are right now in life. How do you feel mentally, emotionally, physically? What is it, perhaps, that your soul has been calling you to that you've been ignoring? What are you afraid to look at? What are the things you let your busyness cover up? And do you seek busyness to hide from what you need to look at and feel? The things you need to surrender to? The parts of you that need attention and love? I invite you now to open up to these things, knowing that here in this place, with your spiritual family, you are free to feel whatever it is you need to feel. For your spiritual family holds you just as you are, and also knows that you are an infinitely powerful spiritual being. You are accepted just as you are. We live and move and have our being in unconditional love. And so we are called to love ourselves unconditionally, fully, deeply, and to love each other fully and deeply. So let yourself be in a place of love now. Let yourself be love now. Just breathe and relax. God is in and through all things, including us. Every fiber of your being is unconditional love. So from this place of love, we now sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. This is from H. Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth. If you have done any piece of work incorrectly, the very first step toward getting it right is to undo the wrong and begin again from that point. We have believed wrong about God and about ourselves. We have believed that God was angry with us and that we were sinners who ought to be afraid of him. We have believed that sickness and poverty and other troubles are evil things put here by this same God to torture us in some way into serving him and loving him. We have believed that we have pleased God best when we have become so absolutely subdued by our troubles as to be patiently submissive to them all, not even trying to rise out of them or to overcome them. All this is false, entirely false. And the first step towards freeing ourselves from our troubles is to get rid of our erroneous beliefs about God and about ourselves. But, objects one, if the thing is not true and I have believed a lie about it, I do not see just how my believing wrong about it could affect my bodily health or my circumstances. A child can be so afraid of an imaginary bugaboo under the bed as to have convulsions. Should you today receive a telegraphic message about your husband, wife, or child who is absent from you, had been suddenly killed, your suffering, mental and physical, and perhaps extending even to your external and financial affairs, would be just as great as though the report really were true, and yet it might be entirely false. Exactly so have these messages of bugaboos behind the doors, bugaboos of divine wrath and of our own weakness, come to us through the senses until we are overcome by our fears of them. No person or thing in the universe, no chain of circumstances can by any possibility interpose itself between you and all joy, all good. You may think that something stands between you and your heart's desire, and so live with that desire unfulfilled, but it is not true. This thing is the bugaboo under the bed that has no reality. Deny it, and you will find yourself free, and you will realize that this seeming was all false. Then you will see the good flowing into you, and you will see clearly that nothing can stand between you and your own. And so it is.
We'll do better next week. Good morning. There we go. Okay, today's second inspirational moment is from The 12 Powers by Charles and Cora Fillmore. And the topic is power. Moses on Mount Sinai exercised great spiritual power in his lofty realization of the impotent? No, that's not right. Try omnipotent wisdom. You know what? I'm going to start over. Don't get me started.
Just a little bit different.
Moses on Mount Sinai exercised great spiritual power in his lofty realization of omnipotent wisdom when he received from the omnipresence the 10 Commandments and registered them on 2 tablets of stone. But Jesus Christ was the finished workman in the Lord's workshop. He could make perfect union with the omnipresent energy and intelligence, and thus receive great and glorious truths. His words were as lightning. He was illumined with light from on high, and he said, "For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man." That's from Matthew chapter 24, verse 27. Just as Benjamin Franklin harnessed the power of lightning, and just as Moses used omnipresence in receiving the 10 Commandments, so we, through Jesus Christ, use the attributes of God in our everyday lives. Our aim in life should be to grow by unfolding the power of the living Word. And in order to do this, we must watch our words, and above all, watch our thoughts. If we're careful to keep our thoughts right with God, we shall easily speak the right words. We should be truthful, for even little falsehoods hinder spiritual growth. On all occasions, we must hew to the line, no matter where the chips may fall. We must also be careful that we do not do all the talking, but give God a chance to talk to us. Be still and know I am God. And now our affirmations, which we'll repeat 3 times together. I think and speak only words of truth and power. I think and speak only truths of true power. I think and speak only words of truth and power.
So as I'm gardening every time, I'm always astounded how these tender little shoots come up out of the ground and push against the soil and manage to bloom and flourish. As I was out this morning and I was digging out weeds, some of the ground was pretty hard and rocky, and yet still these tender shoots come up out of that. And it makes me, I start contemplating what really is strength and what really is power and where does it come from. And if these tender little plants have that kind of power in themselves, pushing through the rocky soil, what might we have? I think just like that reading I did, that we have this feeling about ourselves, we have these beliefs about ourselves that we are so much less than what we are. And I know that in my spiritual journey, that my self-worth, that my image of who and what I am expanded as my understanding of God and as my spiritual practice expanded. And that's why I talk often about what is your understanding of God, and what is it that you believe about God and life, and what is it that you believe about why you're here, and probably most importantly, what you are. if you believe that you are disconnected from God, that you are in no way a part of that loving presence, then perhaps you do struggle with who and what you are. I know I did. When I believed that God was totally outside of me and perhaps was just this puppeteer maybe that moved the strings and moved me and moved all of life, and maybe the strings come together depending on who's in your environment on a particular day, and that maybe there are chess pieces being moved and I have nothing to do with it, then that made life chaotic for me. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing, how I belonged, and what it's all for. So I think it bears really taking time to figure out and to contemplate and to mull over, to ask questions of yourself about what is this thing, God, and what am I in relation to God, and what am I doing here? Otherwise, we're just taking up space. Otherwise, we are just moving around, and we're just one of these chess pieces that gets moved around, and none of it has any meaning. In my advanced consciousness class, we talk often about what does life mean? And is there any meaning? Does meaning come from somewhere else, or are we the ones who assign meaning? And I think those are all worthy questions of ourselves, and maybe of God too. I sit in meditation. There are times when I just ask questions because I just want to know. Tell me what's next. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what this is for. And then I wait for answers. And those answers fuel me, my next move, my next thought, my next decision. All of that, for me, comes from that spiritual base, from that divine base, from that God base. And from that, I find my power. My power. The ability, probably in some instances, to break through things that are difficult when I am feeling tender and vulnerable and judging myself weak. How many times do you judge yourself not up to the task? Not smart enough, not wise enough, don't have enough energy, you don't have enough time, I'm not big enough, whatever big means. I don't measure up. Measure up to what is the question? I'm not worthy. Why me? And usually there's a little old me in there. Why little old me? Right, Randy? Yes. Why should I have that much love? Why should I be comfortable financially or live opulently, whatever it is that you want? Why should I have peace? Why don't I have peace? Why doesn't everybody just do what I need them to do? The way I need them to do it. Why can't it all just work out today and tomorrow and the next day? We ask questions from a place of desperation and weakness rather than speaking words of truth and power. Rather than speaking words of truth and power. Anytime Jesus spoke to anybody, he spoke words of truth and power. He always gave people back their power. Even when they wanted to assign power to him, he assigned it back to them. So how many times do you just give up what is truly yours, which is a power and a strength and a wisdom that is so deeply ingrained in you that it is you according to Unity philosophy? Unity philosophy says you don't have faith, you are that faith. Unity philosophy says you don't have power, you are that power. Unity philosophy says you don't have strength, you are that strength. You are the principle. You are that thing. Even when you deny you have it, you have it. Even when you feel like you can't go on, even when you feel like you can't handle what's going on, you do indeed have and you are everything that you need in that moment. And that it's sitting right there. That's Unity philosophy. It's sitting right there within you as you until you recognize it and embrace it and harness it and move forward. That is the essence of that, one of the 12 powers, which is power. That you have this thing, you are this thing that allows you to handle anything and everything that comes your way. And yet we believe ourselves wanting most of the time. Look, I do it too. I do it too. I run up against something, and I think, oh, there's something outside of me has to make this right. Somebody else has to make this right. And sometimes I've only turned back to me and my power when I couldn't find somebody else to help me to do that. When I'm calling a friend and I can't reach them. When I want advice from somebody and I can't reach them, and then, okay, all right, now I'm sitting in this by myself. Now I have to do it. I don't do that as often anymore because now in spiritual practice I affirm that I am that power. I speak words of truth and power to myself on a daily basis. And that's what we're called to do, to know who you are. Know who you are and live from that. There's a women's group that I am in, and we meet Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on Zoom. I'll paraphrase it so it's better for this setting. And I don't know where this came from, but I always say to them at the end of most of our meetings, live like you know your butts are free. Live like you know you're free. Live like you know you're powerful. Live like you know who you are. Walk through the world like you know that you have this spiritual and divine authority to live as Jesus lived. with this quiet power. I think we've now, in these days and times, we think power is something else. We think power is loud. We think power is aggression. We think power is something that beats you over the head and is painful. And power is not that. Power is very often silent. The most powerful people in a room are often those who speak the least. Who don't need to talk, who don't need to be the center of attention. Who don't come in with a lot of fanfare. That don't need to throw money around, that don't need to throw their weight around. That don't need to let you know they're here and what they have and what they do and what they've just accomplished. They're peaceful, grounded. You know their presence. You feel their presence when they're in the room because they're comfortable in their own skin. They know who and what they are. That comes from a deep-seated power. That comes from knowing who and what you are and living from that into the world unapologetically. I know who I am. I've told you, I love people watching, and for decades, I just love watching people. And there are times I would see somebody and I would say, again, I want what he's got. It didn't have to do with what he was driving, what he had on. It had to do with the presence. Same thing with some women. You'd see them walk in the room, and they look like they own the place. Not in an arrogant way, but in the I am here now. I know what this is. I know what I'm doing. I am commanding. I have command of this. I have self-mastery. We all know it and feel it when it's present, don't we? It only comes from God. True power only comes from God. And it doesn't matter how long you read about it. It doesn't matter how many classes you go to. It doesn't matter how many scripture verses you can recite. It doesn't matter how many hymns you know by heart. What matters is how you integrate that divine experience in your life and in your beingness. It comes from having an experience of God on a regular basis and knowing that that experience is what fuels you in your daily living. I just came across something in my feed on social media this morning where they can tell in the brains of people who are spiritual, not that, they walk around saying, I'm spiritual, not religious. That's a big thing now. But people who have spiritual practice, who are truly spiritually grounded, their brains are different than the area of the brain where anxiety and depression lives. That area of the brain is thicker and stronger. So we have those who are spiritually grounded are protected biologically, neurologically from depression and anxiety. So it's not just all woo-woo. It's biological. Doesn't matter how many times you come and sit in these chairs. What matters is how you live and what you practice and how you move through the world, how you speak about your life and what's going on in your life. Are you speaking words of power and truth? Do you live from that? Do you truly know God? Not know of God. Again, not from reading, not from hearing me talk, not from listening to other people on YouTube or any other place or podcast. What do you know of God in your bones? What do you know that you know that you know that you know that you need no physical evidence of because you're living and breathing it? What do you truly know about God and yourself? So probably if you're riddled with anxiety and chaos in your brain all the time, your head won't get quiet. If the sadness is just overwhelming all the time, what is it that you believe in? What grounds you? What anchors you in this life? Is it the noise? Is it the anxiety of life? Is it the stuff that hits the fan? Or can the stuff hit the fan, but you still know what's underneath, what's undergirding everything? Both can happen. You can be sitting there watching the stuff hit the fan and know you're all right. Last week we talked about that song that keeps singing, even beneath all, like we sang in the song, tumult and this strife. To know that you're still okay. And that all this is going to be resolved to my highest and best because I know what undergirds everything in my life. That's power. When you know that, then yes, you can watch the stuff hit the fan and be okay. You still know that whatever answers you need are waiting right there for you to open up to them. And that your every single step is guided and supported. Do you know that every single step of yours is guided and protected? And that there is a love that conspires to bring your highest and best in every single moment, if you will be open to that. I hadn't paid attention to my side yard off my kitchen, and I had a compost pile, compost pile, and just didn't have time, and then delayed and got distracted with other things. There were so many other things to do, and didn't look at what was going on back there. And so it was just left to its own devices, all that nature back there. And so after I went out this morning, actually I went out yesterday morning and then again this morning to see what was there, to see what was growing, to see what needs to be pulled, what needs to be weeded, what are weeds and what's everything else. I got an app that identifies things for me so I could see what things are. What do I keep? What do I want to throw into a different compost pile? And realize that underneath all of that mess, I had a huge for me, crop of tomatoes growing. Some of the tomato vines were this high when I straightened them out. All of that growing under all that mess. Mother Nature just doing her thing with the elements that she had, the rain we've had, the sun we've had, the varying temperatures we've had, my neglect of the area. I was just throwing stuff in the compost pile. And stuff was growing, unaided. just doing its thing. Nature. Gone wild. So is that how you're living? Everything just gone wild because you're not paying attention? You've got this mess, and occasionally you find, oh, something good is growing here, something good is happening here. Is that what your life is, that mess? Mine has been like that at times. So I don't want to look at it, think I don't have time for it, don't want to nurture it, don't want to spend, it's usually not spending the time. You don't feel like it now. How many times do you not meditate because you don't feel like it now? You don't want to get out of bed. You don't have time. You're too busy. Too busy for God and self. What does that say about your life if you're too busy for God and self? When we say that God is love and that we believe in this, in God, that we believe in this unconditional love, we say it so easily. And yet, are we living that? Are we harnessing that in our lives? Are we harnessing that in our daily busyness? Do you make decisions based upon that which you say you believe? It's easy to say. It's easy to say. But I think it takes courage and work to live it. It takes saying, yes, it's important that I meditate today. Yes, I'm not going to let the day end without me spending time in the silence. Just me and God. Everything else can wait. Nothing else is more important. Do you have that belief, that nothing else is more important? We can always tell by our living. We can tell by the fruits of our labor what's going on. Are you willing to ask those hard questions of yourself? Am I living my beliefs? Am I showing up on a daily basis in my true power? And if not, why not? Why not? If not, why not? When is it going to be important enough? When are you important enough to let God all the way into your life? And to harness that God presence in everything you do? The wonderful thing is we are still that unconditional love, whether we live fully or not. You are still the God presence, whether you express that presence or not. You are still worthy. And Unity doesn't even believe in the word worthy because we are inherently love and divine. So there's no question of worth. But we go there. That's usually our barometer for things. Am I worthy? Am I worthy? Am I worthy? Where are you coming from? From what basis, what belief are you living? Can you look in the mirror and truly look at the person? Look truly into your eyes when you look in the mirror and love what you see. I've told you before, that exercise, I used to roll my eyes at that. I thought it was the corniest thing ever. But it's different when you can stand in the mirror, truly look in your own eyes and know that you are love, and know that you are goodness, and know that you are powerful, and know that as in unity philosophy, that you have everything that you need. You are everything you need. Everything that you're looking for, everything that you desire is already you. Can you see the true you and love that? Know that you are infinitely supported and protected and supplied with absolutely every single thing that you need. And then step forward into your life from that. If each of us woke up in the morning and just hit that realization, we could change this world. And everything that you complain about now that is not working, that is not happening in the world, can happen by our hands, the hands and feet of God. Let's take this into meditation. So just breathe, 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 breathe. And ask yourself, what do I believe about God? What do I believe about God? Is your God angry and vengeful? Waiting to crack the whip at any moment when you don't measure up? Or is God love, peace, compassion, harmony, unity? And what is your understanding of God? What does that inform about you? And are you living from that space, from that knowledge? We are infinitely powerful spiritual beings. Made of the same energy that created the heavens and the earth, the vastness of space. The beautiful symphony that is nature, the synchronicities of life. The same energy that created the beauty of touch, the cleansing of tears, the vibration that is music, the movement of the wind, the vastness of the ocean, all the creatures that live within it. We are that same energy. We are that same power and might if we will only harness it. What will you do differently this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow, this week, next month, next year? What's happened with the word that you chose for the year? Is it just something you think about when you're here, perhaps? Or have you taken it on as the calling that it is? Is it inspiring you to expand, to shine more brightly, to be a beacon for others in life who need more light, who in this moment need your light to shine to give them permission to be more of themselves? Do you know your true power? Do you give thanks for that power every day? Do you celebrate life through spiritual practice? Do you revel in the silence, waiting with open arms for God to speak? Do you run to the silence every morning so that you can feel God move through you and as you? So here in this moment, I invite you to affirm in your heart of hearts, God is my source and my power. God is my source and my power. All that I need is here within me. I am that which I am seeking. God is my source and power. God is my source and power. Yes, God is my source and power. I speak only words of truth and power into my life. I express God and goodness in all that I do. I bless everyone that I come into contact with. Everywhere I step is holy ground. I am blessed and I am a blessing. God is my source and is my power. God is my source and my power. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale. Breathe it in again. Relax. Exhale. Relax. Say yes. Say thank you. Thank you for all good things. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.